Hello students, let's start with the poem The Road Not Taken. This is the first poem of your book Beehive. The Road Not Taken is a poem written by Robert Frost. Robert Frost is famous for writing about ordinary experiences of life. So, before we start the poem, let's know about him. This well known poem is about making choices and the choices that shape us. Robert Frost is an American poet who writes simply but insightfully about common, ordinary experiences. He has written this poem to tell us about the choices that we make in our life. Every time it happens that when we have to decide something, we have two ways in front of us. We have two things in front of us, and out of the two, we have the option, we have the choice to choose any one. And whatever we choose leads to the future or the things that happen in future with us. So let's start the poem The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Yes, two roads diverged in a yellow wood. The poet wants to say that once he was standing in a yellow wood. The two roads diverged. Diverged means divided in a yellow wood. Here, yellow wood is mentioned. It means the poet wants to say that maybe it was the season of autumn, because in autumn the leaves of the trees turn yellow and they fell down from the trees. That is why the jungle or the forest seemed to him yellow, and he called the forest the yellow wood. Yes, he says two roads diverged in a yellow wood. That he was standing in the forest and was looking where two roads were there, and they were dividing in a jungle, in a forest. And sorry, I could not travel both and be one traveler. He says that because he was the only person, he was one person, that is why he could not travel both the roads, and so he had to choose one. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could. He says that he remained standing and looked there as far as I could see the road. He remained standing there and saw the diverging roads as far as he could see to where it went in the undergrowth. He says that one of the roads led to the undergrowth. You know what is undergrowth? The large number of trees, plants, etc., and beneath it is known as undergrowth. Once again, the first paragraph. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. The poet says that he was standing in a forest and he was looking at the two roads, and the roads were diverging, dividing in the forest. And because he was the only person, he was one person, so he could travel only one. He could not travel both the roads. So before deciding the road, he remained standing and looking there the road, and he saw one of the road led beneath the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. Then took the other just as fair, because he was one person, so he could travel only one road. He was to decide only one of those two. He took the other one. He left the first and took the other road just as fair. And he thought that this road was fair for him, clear for him. And having perhaps the better claim, he thought that this road that he chose was better than the other one, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Wanted wear means less used. because this road that he chose was grassy. There was grass on it, and it was less used by the people, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. He chose the second road. And why did he choose the second one? He thought that it was grassy, so only few people had gone on that road, so he selected the second one. Though as for that he passing there had warned them really about the same. But when he was going on this road, then he found that that it was also as much used as the other one. Clear? And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first one for another day, yet knowing how my leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. He says that that morning, when there was the choice to lead any one of the road, that morning both the roads were equal for him, and oh, I kept the first for another day. He says, yet knowing how much leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back, because he had gone far on the other road. The other road means the road that he chose. After going far on that road, he thinks if he could go back and choose the first one once again. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Now I shall be telling this with a sigh. The truth that the poet says is he tells with sigh. Sigh means long breath. Somewhere ages and ages hence. It means after a long period of time, he tells this thing and tells this with a sigh that two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the less travelled by. He tells that the road he chose was the less travelled. It means the road on which less people had gone was chosen by the poet, and that has made all the difference. He says that the difference in his life was only due to his selection. It doesn't become clear that I shall be telling this with a sigh, that the sigh is due to happiness or due to sadness. But the message that the poet wants to give is that while selecting anything out of the two, we must think it over and over, time and again. We should always think what will be better for us, and then only we should decide, because sometimes we choose the easier way and that makes the difference. Sometimes we took the difficult way, and after a long period of time, sometimes we regret that it should have been better for us to take the other decision. Once again, quick revision. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller long I stood and looked down as far as I could to where it went in the undergrowth. The poet tells his decision by way of poem. He says, once he was standing in a jungle, in a forest, and he saw that there were two roads, and he wanted to travel any one of them. So, because he was only one person, so he had to choose the one road, then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as far the passing there had warned them really about the same. He chose the road, thinking that it was less used by the people because it was grassy, and the leaves on the road were not trodden by the foot of the people. So he thought it better for him, and he chose the second one. But after passing on the road for some time, he realized that it was equally used by the people. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first one for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. After a long period of time of the selection of the road, the poet thinks once again the day when he was standing under the undergrowth of the forest, and he was to decide any one road, and he thinks that he decided the second road, and that has made all the difference because he thought that that decision was better for him. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. He says that he took the second one road, thinking that it was used by few people and the other was used by more people. So he says that this has made all the difference. It means while making decisions, while making choices in our life, we must think time and again, and then only we should take the decision, because our decisions give results in the future to come. Hope the poem is clear to you. Read it once again. If you find any problem, you can ask me. Thank you.